They say Tokyo is electric, non-stop, dreamlike, but I'll be honest, I didn't fall in love with it. It's beautiful, yes, it's alive in every corner, but sometimes a place can be dazzling and still leave you feeling distant. Still, I walked, I watched, and in between all the noise, I found a different kind of connection. I started noticing the coffee shops, not the flashy chains, the small ones, hidden up stairwells, tucked behind vending machines, whispered about in blogs. They weren't just places to drink coffee, they were pockets of stillness, where time slowed down and strangers became soft background noise. In a city that never really stops, these cafés taught me how to sit still. I visited the classics. Shibuya, Asakusa, Harajuku. It was a lot. Sometimes beautiful, sometimes overwhelming, and sometimes just there. I took the pictures, but the parts that I remember most aren't the attractions. They're the moments I stopped trying to be impressed. I used to think that connection was instant, that you'd know, like love at first sight. But Tokyo taught me that sometimes connection is slow, or partial, or never quite arrives, and that's okay. You don't have to fall in love with every place you go. Some places simply mirror who you are in that moment. A little tired, a little quiet, still figuring things out. I don't remember everything, not every train stop, not every tourist site, but I remember the tiny things, the ones that stayed. I remember standing beside my boyfriend as we looked out from Enoshima Island, the ocean wind rustling our hair, and not needing to say much. I remember quiet coffee shop conversations where we just sat, together, present, as the world moved fast outside. At Meiji Shrine, we walked slowly, the gravel crunching underfoot, bowed beneath the torii gate, and felt the weight of something sacred. In Kamakura, we rang the bells. The deep sound echoed through my ribs, like a reminder. You are here. Now. Shimokitazawa was a blur of color and craving. I bought nothing, but raced through its narrow veins, window shopping, like I was chasing ghosts, yearning for things that I didn't need, just to feel a flicker of wanting. In Inokashira Park, we watched the boats drift lazily. In Ueno, we visited the zoo and wondered what the monkeys were thinking. Taito, Sensoji, Shinjuku, Shibuya. The big names blurred together, but the way we moved through them, together, that's what I remember. Maybe those moments weren't magical in the cinematic sense, but they were soft. And soft is something I've come to value more. Not every trip is transformative, not every city is your soulmate. But Tokyo gave me something else, a reminder to stop romanticizing every second, to look at a place, really look, and say, I may not love you, but I see you. And sometimes, that quiet honesty is its own kind of connection. There's also construction going on downstairs. Our apartment is right above what's gonna be a new Pilates studio, but they're still in the process of constructing it. So if you hear any hammering or drilling or loud noises, that's what it is. It's coming from right downstairs. I just wanted to come on here and talk a little bit about my experience in Tokyo, and I thought it was interesting. You know, you always hear people talk about Tokyo and how it's like so amazing and like their favorite place they've ever traveled, and they would go back in a heartbeat. And yeah, I thought it was nice, but it honestly, like, it wasn't my favorite. I didn't really fall in love with it, which is kind of disappointing because I feel like I always go into places with these expectations because, you know, I feel like it's normal to get expectations from things you hear online and from other people. I've literally never heard a negative thing about Tokyo or Japan in general, but for me, overall, it was nice, but it wasn't anything that amazing. I didn't really fall in love with it. Like I was saying, it was obviously very clean. There was a lot going on, but I found myself kind of like overwhelmed, I guess, with the city. I mean, it's a city of like 40 million people or something. Yeah, it was really busy. Obviously I expected that, but I come from not like a small town, but like, you know, my city has 500,000 people with like including the outskirts, so it's really not that big. So I'm really not used to like the huge, like gigantic, extravagant buildings and all the lights everywhere. You walk down the street at night and it's just like your eyes and your ears or your senses are just getting assaulted. Making your way through the crowds is super overwhelming and mentally draining. So we would go out, you know, for 8-10 hours a day, and by the end of the day I would come home and just feel exhausted. It was really cool, the sights I did see. We went to kind of all the main tourist attractions, but I didn't really feel like a connection to it, where some other places I've been, I've really felt like a connection there, like I belong there. And I can usually feel that within a couple minutes of arriving in a place, or a couple minutes of at least exploring the city, you know? And that's my judgment of how much I might like a place, is feel that sort of connection or not. And I think that Tokyo and Japan in general is just one of those places where I didn't feel that connection at all. So maybe it's just not for me. Maybe my expectations were way too high, but I wanted to come on here and talk about like disappointment, and I almost feel guilty for not enjoying it as much as I should have, because everyone else enjoyed it as much as they say they did, because I get to have all these experiences, and I'm very lucky to have all these experiences and to be able to travel and see the places I have. Very lucky, I'm very grateful, so that when I don't enjoy a place as much as I should, I feel guilty. I know I shouldn't feel guilty because, I mean, I can't really control whether I like a place or not, of course, but I do try and make the best of every experience that I have. I wrote a little journal entry, and it was a prompt. I like to give you a little bit insight from my brain when I'm just speaking, you know, off the top of my head like I just did. But I find when I write down my thoughts, they're a lot more organized. So that's why I enjoy reading my journal entries. The prompt was, have you ever felt meaning in the absence of strong emotion? The saying was, sometimes I have experiences that I have such strong expectations for, then become disappointed or even feel guilty about not loving it as much as I should. I mean, I feel so grateful and happy that I even get to experience all of these new things, that when I feel like I don't enjoy them 100%, then I'm being greedy or spoiled. And sure, I guess you could look at it that way. However, maybe it just means something different. Maybe it was not the right time for me to experience it. Maybe it's just teaching me that it's okay to feel less or even disappointed. Maybe it's allowing me to learn to sit with this feeling and to be okay with things not going as expected. As someone who loves to travel, I often find myself guided by these expectations that I have that often come from outside opinion. And honestly, some of my most favorite experiences I've had have come from places where I had zero expectation. Places where I let my heart guide me. These are the places where I feel most connected with that whimsical child we all have trapped inside. So maybe this lesson is trying to teach me just to let go of expectation, let go of disappointment, and experience the present as it is in front of me, raw and unfiltered. The beautiful, the ugly, the sweet, and the sour. Because that is life. It's not always picture perfect, but it always has wonder. So, yeah, that's kind of my insight into feeling disappointed. I mean, you know, this might not be the most insightful, deepest thing, but I'm sure everyone has experienced disappointment at some point. Obviously, it's a very normal thing. And then when I listen to it, it'll probably guide me to the right place, to where I feel like connected and where I feel like I belong. Because if you ignore like the disappointment, or you feel bad about the disappointment, or you push away the disappointment, that's when I think you can make decisions that you might regret in the future. Instead of feeling guilty for feeling disappointed, I think you should feel grateful for feeling disappointed. It lets you know what you really want out of life. So that was my little rant or my little chat about Tokyo. And I mean, just because I, didn't love Tokyo, it doesn't mean I hated it. Obviously, there was really good things. I really enjoyed some parts. The coffee was really nice. The convenience stores. Oh, I miss the convenience stores so much. Nothing compares. But I really enjoyed how ordered society was, in a way where there was like a system for everything, and it really prevented as much chaos as it could have. I feel like there could have been way more chaos with that many people in a city. So I really appreciate that. Thank you for sitting here and listening to me talk and watching the video. I will see you in the next one. I got you.